What is going on, guys? It's Morgan. Welcome back to Rugby 20. We're doing another review today. Today's review video is of the game I've just finished watching, which was the Crusaders versus the Hurricanes. And what a opposite sort of game to the game we had on Saturday. On Saturday it was raining and it was kicking everywhere, kicking for touch, kicking for points, just no one wanted to have the ball in hand, and this game was almost the exact opposite. It was all ball in hand, everyone running, trying to avoid kicking as most as possible. Let's get into this game. We're going to be doing Scarlets versus Cheetahs, Reds versus, we'll change these to sort of a yellowy colour, and we'll get into the game and start chatting about some of the thoughts I had about the game. Right, guys, here we are. So this was, of course, the Crusaders' first game. They didn't play last week, so I was looking forward to seeing what their team had to offer. And I must say, as soon as I saw the lineup of this Crusaders team, I was shocked. I did not realise the Crusaders were quite so New Zealand starting 15 heavy. With just some of the names, we'll just rattle off a couple that I saw here. So we had Whitelock, Joe Moody, Mo'unga, Sevu Reece, Jack Goodhue, George Bridge. There was just as I was read out this team sheet, I was looking at them and I just thought, my goodness, this is like going to be watching a New Zealand game. And they did not disappoint. The first try of this game came in the first minute. That's how attacking the Crusaders were for this game. Obviously, it's their first game. They've got a lot more energy going into this one than maybe the Hurricanes had. The Hurricanes coming off the back of a loss. They got a lot to try and show. But yeah, the first minute of the game, which came from Sevu Reece, he had a lot of work to do. There was some good handling, some good team passing, getting through. And Sevu Reece had to finish it. He had to run for about 10 metres out, making his way around TJ Perenara. Oh, we just lost the ball there. That was not clever of me. He had to run past TJ Perenara. A great finish from him. It was right on the touchline, though, right where the try line meets the touchline. So it was an awful kick for Mo'unga to try and get. However, he did actually manage to get it across. Very impressive kicking for him. Obviously, we saw him do an awful lot in the World Cup for New Zealand, so there wasn't too little hope that he would be able to get those sort of kicks. But what a serious start from then. The Hurricanes did have a little comeback very shortly after. They got a penalty in the 4th minute. So they were obviously looking to try and show a bit of display of their own. They had the penalty on about the 22. But they decided to go for touch instead, which was a big choice. It's nice to see, teams wanting to be attacking, wanting to go for those tries. It didn't come off for them. It was quite a poor line out. They did manage to recover it again. We'll talk a little bit more about the lineouts later on in the video, because that was a talking point all on its own. But there was some poor lineouts from them. The ball did get recovered by the Hurricanes. However, they must have lost about 30 metres over the course of the next 6 phases or so. It was very, very powerful defence coming from the Crusaders. Very impressive. They really weren't letting up any room. Pushed them all the way back. There was an unfortunate penalty for them. They came in the 7th minute. Crusaders obviously wanting to get this quick line speed in defence, just got called for offside. Obviously the new rules come in about needing to be very obviously onside, or you'll be classed as offside. So Garden Batchup stepped up for this one and went for the kick, and I think people need to be talking about how good Garden Batchup is in terms of just reliability in kicking. Obviously the Hurricanes lost Bowden Barrett, who we all know can kick incredibly well. Barrett's now gone over to the Blues. But yeah, Garden Batchup, very, very impressive. I actually think he had 100% of all his kicks in the game, and believe me, there was a lot to go through for him kicking-wise in order to get that 100%. He got the first kick there. That was in the 7th minute, and to be honest, almost single-handedly kept the Hurricanes in this game. This game could have got away from them very, very early on. So that was a 7th minute conversion from them, so that took them back into 7-3. But the Crusaders were not going to let that lie. They came back in the 13 minutes with another try. Braden Ennor, who is the centre for the Crusaders, who I have to say, very, very impressive. He got a great little ball kick through. That wind was going the other way, wasn't it? It's interesting. He had a great little kick through from the scrum half, Bryn Hall for Crusaders. A lovely little grubber kick, just managing to find the space, ball running through. And Braden Ennor had to have run a good 15 metres or so, and he must have done it in about 2.5, 3 seconds. He is absolutely rapid. Looking forward to see if that man can get into an international shirt one day. He's a very, very dangerous attacker. I'm looking forward to watching the Crusaders attack line a lot more. They've got some big names in their attack up forwards. So I'm going to see what they're going to be like in the coming games. He did actually get the try, dabbing it down from the grubber kick. However, the try was pretty much on the touch line as it was with the first one. Richie Mo'unga unfortunately didn't manage to get the second kick, but it is probably about as hard as conversions can get for a fly half to manage to get. But he did get the first one, so fair play to him. The game itself was very, very, hands on ball, running style, especially from the Crusaders. They were not letting any kicks happen. I think in the first 15 minutes there was a total of something ridiculous, like 3 kicks. It's almost a quarter of the game. One of those kicks being the grubber kick through that led to the second try. Very, very impressive to just as a spectator to watch the sort of game where you don't have to have the sort of rugby tennis that we see a lot of in the modern game now. Oh no, not quite. Wind going against us there for that conversion of our own. There was a 17-minute penalty against the Crusaders for being offside. Again, that was their line speed. It was just a bit too quick maybe for the referee to judge. Again, the new rules coming in. It was the Crusaders' first game, so there was a lot of questions about would they be able to deal with some of the new rules coming in, whether they would have followed some of the games going on. Obviously, other teams have had an extra game almost to get used to the new rules. They did say they'd watched a lot of gameplay and how the refs were being more vigilant on the rules and stuff so they could try and improve their game. But that offside was definitely becoming an issue. Oh, that was a terrible pass. He could have got to the try line there. We're going to try and clear this out, I think, here. In fact, let's just do a little box kick down route a little bit. But yeah, there was so they Garden Batchup again managed to convert that one in the 17th minute, keeping the Hurricanes in it. In the 20th minute, another penalty, or it's the 23rd minute. Sorry, there was another penalty that was they decided again to go for a kick to touch. This was a weird thing the Hurricanes seemed to keep doing, which was a thing throughout the game, where if they got a penalty in the opponent's half, they almost always were going for touch rather than for the posts. But then if it generated a second penalty from that line out, they then go for the posts rather than trying to push forwards. I might get into that a little bit later on. There were some interesting decisions there. In the 20th minute, just to go back quickly, there was a charge down of a clearing kick from the Hurricanes. The clearing kick actually came pretty much on the try line, and it got charged down. I think it was by Sam Whitelock who got the charge down, but the ball basically rolled into the try area, and you've got about 4 people diving for this ball. But luckily for the Hurricanes, the ball did go out. In the sort of cluster of what was going on there, TJ Perenara did go off for a HIA check. Took a quick knock to the head, and you definitely noticed some game management shifts as soon as he went off that. There was a lot of, he's a big voice, TJ Perenara, for both New Zealand and for the Hurricanes. So as soon as he went off, you did notice a big shift, but of course he did come back on later on. He did pass that HIA, so we should be seeing him, still in the team next week. It didn't look like it was too serious, just a little knock on the ground that got him. Oh, this guy's running through everyone for the Cheetahs. Some great play. We've caused an injury. Well, he won't be getting through too many people next time. Quick talk about Garden Batchup and some of his kicking ability. He was very, very good. Just to rattle off a couple of things that he managed to do. So he had a penalty kick in the 23rd minute, a penalty kick in the 26th minute, a drop goal in the 30th minute, and then another penalty kick in the 35th minute. So the man's was very, very busy kicking wise, but very impressively he did get 100% of his kicks. The drop goal was nice to be seeing. We've seen a lot of drop goals throughout the game so far. It's obviously a tactic they're trying to employ to not let teams have that bonus points. There's a red card, did I just hear then? Oh, that's interesting. You very rarely get a red card in this game. Interesting, right? Well, Cheetahs down to 14 men for the rest of this game for me. The Crusaders did get a penalty, which they then decided to adopt the same strategy as the Hurricanes. They decided to go for touch rather than for the post. which they were trying to go for their sort of 4th try of that half. There was the maul collapsed, and then the penalty changed again from the kick to touch back to the post. I'm not really sure why both teams were adopting this strategy of using the first penalty to get further up the pitch, but then to let the second penalty get them for go for the post, go for the points. Why you wouldn't go for the points either first time round or use the pressure that you're obviously mounting from moving forwards. You know, the other teams giving away multiple penalties. I don't know why you wouldn't keep applying that pressure, but didn't come from it. It also, and both teams were doing it. It wasn't just one team, so maybe that's a thing we're going to see throughout the tournament. People doing the same strategy. But that did lead to half time. It was 15-19 to the Crusaders at half time. And just to talk about the sort of handling game, you know, there was a lot more hands on ball than the game we had on Saturday, but we actually only saw one scrum in the entire half. You know, 3 kicks in the first 15 minutes and 1 scrum in the entire first half. You know, shows some superb skill just from hand on the ball. Very, very impressive. First action of the second half, Jack Goodhue getting a yellow card. The referee hadn't forgot about the list of penalties I read out for what Garden Batchop managed to take in that first half. They did receive a warning, the Crusaders, that they couldn't have too many more of them. Unfortunately for Jack Goodhue, it was him that fell next. He was the one who took the team penalties on the chin, get himself a yellow card. In the first half alone, there was 12 penalties given away by the Crusaders, obviously just showing that lack of game time they've had compared to the other teams, all the new rules coming in, trying to adapt. So it was probably fair to give a yellow card. It felt a shame that it was Jack Goodhue. He played very, very well. He probably deserved to not have that yellow card, considering some of the other players' fouls that were going on the pitch. Garden Batchop again getting that kick across. He had a phenomenal game. Definitely put his hand up for man of the match for just keeping the Hurricanes in this game. The Crusaders came back a little bit, sort of 10 minutes in. They got 2 penalties, one in the 49th minute and one in the 57th minute. Mo'unga kicking both over the posts. He has a good kicking game. He's quite a reliable kicker. The only kicks he really missed in this game were from rather difficult positions, you know, where it could be, you know, it's fair that they missed those sort of kicks. Let's talk about the referee quickly. The referee in this game awarding penalties and things slightly different from the other games. I think it was Paul Williams in the first game who I've been most impressed with, refereeing-wise so far. He was very, very good at implying the new rules. He was giving teams the chance. There was a lot of allowing advantages to play. The ref playing in this one, I don't think I actually made a note, sorry guys, of who the ref was for this game. But he had a weird tendency to award a penalty almost immediately for almost anything, which was a little bit breaking in gameplay, which was a bit of a shame. There was a big tackle on Wyn Jones. There was a couple of penalties for not releasing the tackler that all went against the Crusaders. That was their biggest penalty against them throughout the game especially. However, the referee was giving penalties pretty much immediately. If a player hit the ground, he would shout tackle, and if you didn't release the tackle, if you didn't release the ball carrier, almost immediately the penalty went against you as a tackler, which did feel a little harsh. There were definitely some that I know for a fact other refs would have said player holding on to the ball rather than that. There was a couple of rips that the Crusaders also had that got overturned because of not releasing the tackle, which did feel a little bit harsh against some of them. The next try actually came for the Hurricanes. Asafo Amua, who was the replacement prop, had a great little run. Ben Lamb, again, another man I want to see more in the international scene for the Hurricanes. He did very well, had a great run. He beat about 3 players and sort of dropped the ball and picked the ball back up and carried on as a run. Very, very strong. Definitely putting his hand up as well for a very good player to see in the international scene. And then it was a cheeky flat pass out to the prop on the wing, which is where we love to see props. For any of you who've played rugby yourselves, you know those props love to be sat on the wing, which is not where you want them to be. But he had a great finish, to be fair. I was very impressed by him throughout the whole game. the 79th minute, there was another try for the Crusaders, Mwanga, which was an unfortunate try. And this is where the game sort of started getting away from the Hurricanes. Right at the end, sort of, the final 10 minutes. 69th minute is not where you want to start messing up some of your gameplay. There was a little grubber kick through that was a very clever grubber kick through from Mwanga, actually. It was a replacement fullback, I think it was, for the Hurricanes, who did pick up the ball, and for some reason, rather than just running it out and having to concede that, he decided to try and keep the ball in play and flick the ball back into play, which is never the good decision you want to, which the Crusaders managed to catch and offloaded back to Mwanga for the try. Shame for them. They will have wanted to have done a little bit better, but unfortunately not. And then there was the final try of the game, which came from David Havili, who was again very, very impressive. I've got a lot of Crusaders players to point out. He was the replacement centre. He came on for Braden Enor, and he had a good game. To fair, came on about half time. They just slowly chipping away at the Hurricanes. I think we all knew the game was going to be ending about that time. There was a lovely little flat pass that went through about 3 people from the replacement scrum half. It was a brilliant little running line from him. Just found the gap between 2 players. No one even attempted to tackle him. And he just went straight through for the try. And of course, Mwanga getting that kick over as well. So, some very strong running play from the Crusaders. The Crusaders most definitely deserved the win. Garden Batshop was really the only threat for them from the Hurricanes. His boot keeping them in all the way along. Definitely a big point of note is the Crusaders bench. Almost every single player that came on for the Crusaders looked like they almost deserved to be in that starting 15. Very, very impressed with how strong their bench is. A real threat. I could almost pin them down for potentially taking this tournament, but I think it's between them and the Blues is who I would put on money for winning this. But the full-time score overall was 25 to the Hurricanes, 39 to the Crusaders. Obviously scoring 5 tries throughout the game compared to a Hurricanes 1. Conversions and penalties and drop goals, just brilliant from Garden Batshop, getting 5 penalties and a drop goal. Mwanga's kicking ratio was a little bit worse. He got 4 or 5 conversions of 2 or 3 penalties. Again, just difficult kicks for him. A little bit harsh to critique him too much on that. However, penalties conceded for this game. The Hurricanes still on 13 penalties, which I don't think they'll be happy about, considering they had, I think it was 16 in their last game. They've dipped it a little bit, but they would want a lot less, I think. The new rule still being an impact, and obviously Crusaders are making their first appearance. They were on 14 penalties. I actually think it's the best penalty ratio for a team starting. So they probably shouldn't be too upset about that, but they'll definitely want to improve a little bit. Turnovers, 12 turnovers for the Hurricanes, 9s for the Crusaders. Again, the ball running play was very, very good. The jackling going on, the tackling going on. It was a lot of ball on field, not a lot of the kicking going on. So very, very impressive. Couple of man of the match talks about going on here. Garden Batshop for the Hurricanes I thought was very, very good. Ben Lamb on the wing for the Hurricanes was also good, and Lau Marpi, who was the centre for the Hurricanes. All 3 of them have very, very good games. Garden Batshop, arguably man of the match, keeping Hurricanes in it, to be honest. If he wasn't on the field, I think that could have ended much, much worse for them. And for the Crusaders, Sevu Reece had a really good game, really strong attacking game. Mwanga, of course, with some good kicking himself, that sort of counteracted a lot of what Garden Batshop meant to do. Man of the match actually went to Will Jordan, who I haven't got to speak about a lot, as I've realised through this commentary today. But Will Jordan, very, very impressive. Don't know a lot about him at all. I don't know if he is a New Zealand player. I don't know if he's ever got into an international jersey, but would love to see him a little bit more in international play. Very, very quick, very, very sort of game aware. Was very impressed by him. Some up and unders. He actually led to 2 of the tries. He led to the Jack Goodhue try. If you can get a clip of that on YouTube, I definitely recommend seeing that try go on. A deserving man of the match. I think man of the match for me probably should have gone to Garden Batshop just for keeping the Hurricanes even in the game, but obviously Hurricanes losing. So far, the man of the match has always been picked from the winning team, even though I think some players maybe have had better games. But Will Jordan deserved, I think, for the Crusaders to have that man of the match. Looking forward to see what Will Jordan can do in an international jersey if he can get one. If he is New Zealand, I'm not 100% sure. He's got a bit of an issue though with having Bowden Barrett and Damien McKenzie filling that fullback position. There's a lot of competition there, but would love to see him. Let me know what you guys thought of the game. If you managed to see it, drop down in the comments what you thought about the game. Let me know if you enjoy this sort of review style that I do, where I play a game in the background. Make sure you drop the video a like if you enjoy this sort of thing, so I can keep doing and following the tournament a little bit. If you haven't seen the other videos, guys, I definitely recommend checking some of those out, and subscribe to the channel so you know when all the new videos and reviews are going up. Thank you for watching this video, guys. Make sure you drop that like. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.